Good afternoon. I'm Virginia Killmore and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be using the beautiful Butterfly Brilliance set that is called Butterfly Bouquet actually, but the stamp set is called Butterfly Brilliance. And it's papers and it's cutters just to make this pretty card that you see here. So let's get started. So here's the card we're going to make today, and we're using the Butterfly Brilliance set like I said, but what's really neat about it is we are going to use the stencil that I used to cut out white butterflies from a couple days ago. I'll show it to you. This is the stencil I cut out all the 6 butterflies which come with the bundle. You just put it on here and cut it out. And I love it. I keep the washi tape on it because when I am using the new designer series paper that goes with it, you can actually cut out all those butterflies on that. And I always have a couple butterflies sitting around because I don't use them all up. I can just run that through, cut them all out, and I've got 6 butterflies for a card. But we're going to use the stencil to help us stamp and color in the butterfly paper. So let's get started so that you can see the process. So we're going to use our Stamparatus today. If you've never seen it, it's the best tool I've ever had. It stamps beautifully, and you can stamp repeatedly. That's what I love about it. I have put a little tape on here to sort of hold this in place. I might as well put another little piece of tape up here because if it moves at all, it drives me crazy. Usually I use magnets, but because I'm working with this large stamp, I have to have it, I just can't put a magnet down there. So I tape it down to the paper that I'm stamping on. I'm going to have to stamp it again and again till I get it nice and dark. And I actually have magnetized my paper to the base so that doesn't move, and I just always want to make sure it doesn't move at all while I'm stamping, because then I can go back over and over and really get the color deep and dark. Okay, that's much better. That's really nice. And now I just lightly pry that off. Boy, that tape really stuck. And you see how that just moved. We want them to stay in their place, but we don't need that anymore because we're done. So I want this to dry for a few minutes, so I'm going to work on the sentiment and this little strip. And we're going to glue that strip with a ribbon. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my strip and tie a knot on my yellow Bumblebee gingham ribbon. I've showed this to you many times, I'm sure. But I always like to review. Pull from the bottom so that your knot is super tight and use less ribbon. And because I want it to one side, I'm going to cut it off the center. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue that on here, getting it all ready to go on my card when it's dry. Now the reason we're letting that dry a little bit is we're going to be using my blender brush, and I want to make sure that it's relatively dry so I don't pick up too much red in my yellow blender brush. So you see how I'm just sort of knotting that on there and then gluing it down. And now all I have to do is the sentiment. Now, we did this the other day, but I'm going to remind you again, this is from Many Messages. I use the cutter to cut out various pieces of Bumblebee, and then I can pick out the message I want from here. And then I go to my Stamparatus, which I have set up to do this. and I just open it up and line it up with the sentiment I've chosen. It's like it's happy to celebrate this moment with you. And so now that I have it in here, all I have to do is ink it. The only thing I want to make sure is that I have it nice and clean, because yesterday I used basic black with it, and I'm going to switch to Poppy Parade today. So I'm going to clean that up a little bit. And now I can use my Poppy Parade ink. And I'm really just concentrating it on one piece because that's all I need. This is a time that's great to use a Stampin' Write marker if you have it. And that's the only sentiment I'm really looking to do. I am going to ink it a second time. Just to darken it up a little bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now we just need to pop that out with my pokey tool. And now I can set this aside. I explained to you yesterday that I cut this big piece out of Bumblebee, and I leave this as my template for all the words. So what I do first is I take the template off, stamp this all in black on this white piece of paper. Then I take my template and I glue it in place. And then as long as I don't move it from this corner, everything lines up. I usually test it once before I do it each time, but by and large, I don't have much trouble with it. So we're ready now to do the next part, which is to use the stencil. And I am going to put a piece of paper below it because I just am. So you see how I'm lining up my stencil with the cut out pieces? It wouldn't hurt to put some tape down. I think I'm going to do that, just so everything doesn't move on me. And then once I get this set, I'll glue that down too, because it is hard sometimes. The templates do move. And you have to look at every single one to make sure that they're lined up. Now, because I let this dry a little bit, I shouldn't have too much trouble with a Bumblebee, with a Poppy Parade bleeding, but you do want to watch that. In case you have not seen our blender brushes, and I know I showed you them on Monday, I have 6 of them. Every single one has a different color that I use with it. I like that. To do that, I made these little C's out of my 3D printer, and I do give them away to people who buy the blender brushes through me. So if you've ordered a blender brush through me, make sure to let me know so that I give you your free little blender brush markers. For a while I tried washi tape, but it just kept coming off, and these C's are so nice and they're bright. If you didn't buy your blender brush through me and you want one of these, I always have a link at the bottom of the instructions to this post that you can order them through Etsy through me. They're $8, postage paid directly to you. And all I ask is that you leave me a little review, because I am starting a business and trying to get people to buy them. Mine come for $8. You get them shipped directly to you with no shipping charges. That's the whole cost. So there you have it. That's it. So this thing, instead of being thrown away, I used it as a stencil to make my card. And I think that's pretty cool. Colored it in. Now, I could have done 2 tones or 3 tones, but I just decided to do the one. I've seen people do different ways of going about this. Now, I have 11 by 4 1/4 piece of paper Poppy Parade paper. Paper Poppy was the name of a store that was in Syracuse when I was a little girl. I used to love to go there. They had the coolest paper. And I'm going to glue that down. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss a step. Sort of struggling a little bit today. I do all my videos on one day, and my first video was not so successful. I had a lot of little problems. Now, the reason I use the green glue is I just put that too close on the side, and I was able to scooch it over before it dried too much to get it to lay real nicely. And now I'm going to use the glue again to put down my band right across here. And I cut that exactly 3/4 of an inch. No, it's 1 inch. And again, I use my glue and my bone folder to sort of make sure everything stays in place. And now all I need is my little sentiment. This card didn't take too long. Sometimes the hardest part is just getting it ready to videotape. I have to think too much. I'm not good at thinking. I'm very good at talking. So there you go. There's your card for today. I love this card. It's super simple, but really effective and pretty. I hope you enjoyed. Tomorrow I will have another card for you at 1 o'clock. And I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.